I do give a shit who wins the next election. And outdated racial pandering is one reason Democrats lose elections. When Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi put on kente cloth, I don't think it earned them one vote for their powerful emotional ties to Ghana. Here in California, we're now segregating kidnapping. Really, California doesn't just have Amber Alerts for missing children. We have Ebony Alerts for Black children and Feather Alerts for Native American kids. What is that? We look for them by listening on the ground?
Bill Maher isn't letting up on the loudest voices of the far left. He's roasting them like the last marshmallows at the fire. And honestly, it's comedy gold. You'd think the whole woke wave would have lost steam by now, but it still lingers. Jittery and overreacting like a cat startled by its own shadow. No tactic from the so-called awakened crowd slips past his radar. And when Maher comes back swinging, they'll be squirming as if they've landed barefoot on a pile of Lego bricks. Get ready, because the next round of sharp truth bombs is on the way. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss episodes that pack more heat than a jalapeno in a sauna. It's true.
It's not me who's changed. It's the left, who is now made up of a small contingent who've gone mental and a large contingent who refuse to call them out for it. But I will. That's why I'm a hero at Fox these days. Which shows just how much liberals have their head up their ass, because if they really thought about it, they would have made me a hero on their media.
Bill Maher has managed to earn respect from both old school liberals and conservatives alike, almost like a modern folk hero. While many comedians on the left tiptoe around woke policies as if the floor were covered in Lego, Maher charges straight in, tearing them apart with biting humor and unapologetic honesty. And it's not because he's jumped to the other side, it's because he's one of the rare voices willing to call out the nonsense within his own circle. The push for wokeness isn't exactly something worth celebrating. In reality, it feels like looking through a snow globe, shaken, distorted, and far from clear. Anyone using common sense, no matter their political leanings, can see the warning signs flashing bright red. Yet somehow, in today's climate of cancel culture, speaking plain truth has been twisted into the ultimate act of rebellion.
Not my fault that the party of FDR and JFK is turning into the party of LOL and WTF.
Watching the party that once gave us giants like John F. Kennedy and Franklin D. Roosevelt morph into what it has become today is nothing short of disheartening. These leaders stood for unity, economic growth, secure borders, and a proud sense of American identity. Now, while everyday citizens are left fending for themselves, much of the modern left seems preoccupied with chasing virtue points, playing identity politics like it's a career, and embracing nearly any fringe idea that drifts its way in. Even prominent figures within the Democratic establishment, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., have walked away, aligning with Republicans after witnessing the depth of corruption. And yes, we're talking about a Kennedy. When a party with such a historic legacy effectively renounces the very America it once represented, the shift isn't just disappointing, it's deeply unsettling.
Members of Congress tweeting things like cancel rent, cancel mortgage, and no more policing or incarceration, declaring that capitalism is slavery, canceling Lincoln and Dr. Seuss, teaching children they're oppressors and math is racist, making Mr. Potato Head gender neutral, and now an emoji for pregnant men. Real, I'm not making it up.
For generations, the definition of a woman was never in question. It was grounded in biology, facts, and plain common sense, no politics attached. But then, almost overnight, the modern left stormed in, pointing fingers at science, tradition, and every generation before us, insisting they all got it wrong. And why? Not because of groundbreaking discoveries, but because they saw a new cultural battleground and handed the microphone to the loudest transgender activists. Now, we're told biological. Men should compete in women's sports, erasing decades of progress for female athletes. And it doesn't end there. We're suddenly expected to believe that men can conceive, give birth, and even breastfeed because feelings are being elevated above facts. This isn't about compassion. It's about pushing an ideology so tangled it defies reality itself. What's happening isn't progress. It's a head-on collision with truth packaged as inclusion, but in practice, nothing more than manufactured fiction.
Democrats have become like a royal family that, because of so much, has unfortunately had children who are and the same thing can happen to ideas if they are also conceived in an atmosphere of intellectual test. Maybe take the clothespins off your noses and actually converse with the other half of the country. Stop screaming at people to get with the program and instead make a program worth getting with.
Identity politics isn't something owned by the left alone, but for them, it's becoming a recipe for disaster. If they keep clinging to it, they're practically handing away any real shot at power in 2028. We've seen this tragic comedy before. Just last year, voters quietly but decisively pushed them aside for playing the same stale game, virtue signaling instead of governing. And what have they learned since? Absolutely nothing. They're still fixated on empty theatrics crafted to impress activist elites and stir Twitter mobs, all while ignoring the problems Americans actually lose sleep over: the economy, national security, and basic freedoms. The obsession is with appearances, hashtags, and the latest fake outrage. Instead of a party driven by policy, they have turned themselves into a stage act. While they pat themselves on the back for being on the right side of history, the rest of the nation has already left their circus behind.
Look, even if you like identity politics, this kind of thing is antiquated. From 2010 to 2020, the number of people identifying as multiracial in America went up 276%. 1 in 5 newlyweds now are in an interracial marriage, and that number goes up to 100% in ads for Subaru. You couldn't do a remake of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner today because almost 100% of Americans approve of interracial marriage, especially with rich in-laws. And 95% of white women would leave their husband to marry Idris Elba.
As Bill Maher points out, identity politics is a dead end, and it doesn't get much uglier than this. America today is already a vibrant mix of cultures, races, and backgrounds. Most people have long since moved past obsessing over skin color. The truth is simple. No matter our shade, we're all human. Skin is just that. Skin, it doesn't define your worth, your character, or the life you can build. Yet, the woke left refuses to let go of old grudges, clinging to conflicts that belong to the 1960s and trying to drag the country back into outdated battles. They turn everyday interactions into grand clashes of privilege versus oppression, ignoring the reality that millions of Americans live, work, and thrive together every single day. Far from being progressive, this fixation on race looks more like a tired political stunt in a nation that's already diverse and far more united than they admit. Exactly right.
Humans, we are obsessed with race, and that obsession can really hinder people's aspirations. Actress Raven-Symoné agrees. She told Oprah, "I'm tired of being labeled. I'm not an African American. I'm an American." She says, "I don't know what country in Africa I'm from. My roots are in Louisiana." And you don't have to agree with that, but it's a point of view a lot of people have. It should be respected. Morgan Freeman says the way to finish off racism is stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. There's even a movement now to ban racial questions on the census, and many of its leaders are people of color, like Professor Sheena Mason, who says to undo racism, we have to undo our belief in...
Step 1 is simple. Stop treating race as the centerpiece of our identity and start seeing ourselves as one people. That doesn't mean erasing differences or ignoring the rich traditions tied to different cultures and backgrounds. It means celebrating those differences without letting them drive us apart. We can honor heritage without turning it into a weapon, and we can respect diversity without building walls between ourselves. Unity doesn't demand that we all look, think, or live the same way. It's about recognizing our shared humanity, our common dreams, and our equal right to freedom, no matter how we look or where we come from. The faster we shift our focus to what connects us instead of what separates us, the stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable our society will become.
Today's Democrats should move on from identity politics. It's not working. It's not working for them or for us. Democrats are hemorrhaging the very voters they think they're pandering to. The Financial Times writes, Democrats are going backwards faster with voters of color than any other demographic, and suggests the reason is that a less racially divided America is an America where people vote more based on their beliefs than their identity. Exactly. Far-left liberals are living in an old paradigm. Americans don't fit into neat little boxes anymore. Who has the #1 country song right now? Beyonce.
In today's America, racial discrimination is steadily declining. Yet Democrats cling to outdated narratives as if they were precious artifacts. As Bill Maher observes, this fixation on old grievances isn't just tone deaf, it's political self-destruction. While everyday Americans are busy building communities, friendships, and businesses that cut across race, Democrats keep running every issue through the filter of identity politics. That strategy may have worked decades ago, but now it feels tired, stale, and exhausting. Donald Trump, more than most, recognized just how divisive identity politics had become. Instead of leaning into it, he focused on the issues that mattered most to average Americans. He spoke to people as citizens, not as demographic checkboxes. And that approach was a major reason he resonated so strongly and won with such ease.
Lil Nas X won a country music award, and he's black and gay. And a brand ambassador for the waspiest purse in America, Coach. The biggest new star in country is Jelly Roll, who was a drug dealer, then a prisoner, then a rapper, and then a face-tatted country music star. Not to mention a giant middle finger to the idea of staying in your own lane. No. In America now, you're allowed to be many things all at once, and that's a good thing, even when it's really stupid.
What makes America truly shine is freedom, the freedom to speak your mind without fear, to stand up for the causes you believe in, to practice faith or reject it entirely, and to know that equal rights and opportunities belong to everyone. That is the promise of America. But today's left has largely abandoned that promise. They posture as champions of tolerance while practicing the opposite. Step outside their narrow ideology, and you're instantly shamed, ridiculed, and thrown into the digital guillotine of cancel culture. No debate, no dialogue, just outrage designed to erase you overnight. Equality has taken a back seat, replaced by blind loyalty to ideology. Instead of fostering open exchange, they've built an echo chamber where dissent is forbidden. And when a society silences voices rather than challenging them, it doesn't protect freedom. It destroys its very foundation.
We're sloppy, complicated, and contradictory. 2/3 of Republican voters support weed legalization. And 41% of Democrats own or live with someone who owns a gun. Miss Marvel is Pakistani, and the winner of the last 2 NBA dunk contests is white. The new Captain America is black, and Spider-Man is black and Puerto Rican, just like AI George Washington. Latinos make up half of the Border Patrol, and the name of the coolest black dude on the planet is Lenny Kravitz.
America is shifting fast, and if Democrats don't adjust, they'll be left coughing in the dust of politics. The problem is clear. They're still relying on strategies and ideas that might have worked a decade ago, but today they feel worn out, outdated, and completely disconnected from the realities of modern life. The DNC keeps running the same playbook, hoping for new results, even though the country has already moved forward. The truth? It isn't working. Look at Trump. After losing, he regrouped, sharpened his message, and returned to his supporters stronger, louder, and perfectly timed. If Democrats want any shot at survival, they'll have to do the same. Rethink, evolve, and toss aside old talking points. In politics, you either transform or turn into a fossil, and right now, the DNC is teetering on extinction. To stay relevant, they must embrace change, reject identity politics, and rebuild public trust. Otherwise, they'll watch power slip away to those ready to shape the future without them. That's where we'll wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.